guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming my February TBR. It has been a while since I filmed a TBR because, to be honest, I'm more of a mood reader now. I don't really TBR things because even when I do, I ignore them. However, this month I have so many buddy reads with people that it just seemed to become TBR, and I thought, well, as I have one this month, I may as well tell you about it and show you what I'm going to be reading. Well, hopefully reading. I did have a TBR in January as well, and I actually completed my TBR for the first time ever. I've never completed a TBR. I always just think, nah, don't want to read you anymore. Some of the books were a DNF, but that's not the point. But in this TBR, it is not going to be one I can finish because there's more books than common sense here. But I thought nonetheless, I am going to show you and let you know what I'm hoping on reading. First of all, I'm going to start off with the book that I have to read, and that is The Crow Folk by Mark Stay. This is the first in the Witches of Woodville series. Now, the reason I have to read this is because I am on a blog tour for this, and my review has to go up on my Instagram on the 14th of February, so long as I like the book. This is basically set in like the war era where this girl in a small village in Europe finds her mother's witch's book and realizes that she has also inherited these witch powers, and she now has to develop these powers and become a powerful witch in time to stop the people who also want the spell book. I'm actually really excited about this. Like, I don't read books based in the war or set in that time period. I don't do historical fiction, but I do witches. Witches is my jam, and anything with witches in it sounds amazing, and this just sounds so out of the ordinary and peculiar that I had to give this a go. So I'm really excited to dive into this and see how it goes, because this could be a make or break book, honestly. Very excited about this one, but that is one of the books that I have to read this month without fail. The next book that I hope to get to, and that is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. The reason I've been meaning to get to this for months is because I've been filming a reading hyped romance books for months, and I wanted to go up on Valentine's Day. I still have not read this book. I have been reading them since like October, maybe even earlier. So this is if I don't read this by the 14th and get that video up, I'm scrapping it. I'm done. I don't know why I won't read this book. I even have the arc of the third book now, and I'm like, you haven't read the first two. So that is a priority this month. If I don't get to it, I'm going to cry. Something in my brain just keeps saying, no, not today. Yes, today. Yes, today. Calm, composed. So we will hopefully be getting that to this in February. Please send thoughts and prayers. Thank you. Another book that I'm desperate to read this month is Hunting Prince Dracula by Kerri Maniscalco. My plan this year is to read the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. There's 4 books and a novella, and I'm trying to read one a month. I read the first one in January, gave it 4 stars, really enjoyed it. It's a book series that I'm tabbing, so I know that it's going to take me a little longer than a traditional book, but I think it'll be worth it in the end. And we followed Audrey in the first book, finding out who Jack the Ripper was, and now I believe we're following her with her interactions of Dracula. I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing. But it sounds amazing. The first one was really, really good, and I'm hoping the second one lives up. So that is why I'm so eager to read this month, because if I don't, I'll have broken my read one a month thing, and then I'll never get to them ever, because that is just the kind of person I am. And this year I'm trying to actually read through my series and not pick up the first book and then say, oh yes, I'm gonna continue this, and then never do it. So this will be one that I also hope to get to, but as it is not a buddy read and I have a million buddy reads, we shall see. Another book that's kind of like I have to get to because I'm following a read along is Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. And the reason I say I have to get to this, no one's holding a gun to my head, but there is the Tog Along, which is the Throne of Glass read along, and I want to take part. So I read the first book, The Assassin's Blade, which is not the first book, it's a novella. But we read that in January. I read it. I would like to continue with Throne of Glass because I wanted to read it straight away. But I came to the realization that if I don't stick to the read along, I'm never ever going to pick up that last book, which is over 1,000 pages. Never. So I have to stick to the monthly schedule to motivate myself to get there. I mean, that's if I even decide to get there. We'll see if I DNF or not, but I really enjoyed the novellas. Really hoping I enjoy this. This follows Selena Sardothien, and she is like a Assassin's Blade. She's an assassin, and I don't want to spoil anything, but she's in Indovia and she saves it, but I don't know yet. In the dark, filthy salt mines of Sardovian, an 18-year-old girl is serving a life sentence. If you have read The Assassin's Blade before this, which I would recommend, you would know why she ends up there. If you have not, you will not. I'm so glad I read The Assassin's Blade first, because it's given me complete understanding of what's gone on to get her here. And I feel much better about the situation. I'm prepared to go in knowing that I already love Selena. I think she's a fabulous protagonist, and I'm really excited to see what happens in her life from the novellas. Now I'm going to show you a very overambitious series to read, honestly. And that is that I want to read the ACOTAR series in full in February. So not going to happen, okay? But we're gonna pretend. Basically, that with this series, I just want to binge it. As long as I like the first one, I just want to binge the whole series, just read them all. I've never read them before. I've decided after reading Crescent City and The Assassin's Blade that I love Sarah J. Maas's writing, and this is so different, and everybody seems to love it, and I think I'm gonna love it. It seems very much up my alley, and I know that the first book's not ideal, and everyone says don't worry to continue the series, so I want to kind of just binge through them really quickly. But I don't know what makes me think I will read all of this plus the rest of my TBR in February. But you know, we're going to pretend that I'm capable of such matters, and I'm going to tell you that I'm going to read this. I believe it's about somebody kills a fae who's actually dressed up as a wolf and then becomes part of the, like, they have to go and present themselves in front of the fae court to be punished. I know nothing, as you can clearly see. I know there's romance, I know that there's steamy scenes, and that is my extent of my knowledge, so not that much knowledge. But if we get to this, it would be a really good time. The final book that is not a buddy read that I would like to get to but isn't a priority is The Beautiful by Renee Audier. I've owned this for way too long and been way too desperate to read it, but I was waiting for some reason for March, because the paperback for the second book comes out in March, so I was like, I don't want to have to leave too long between the two books, which I understand, but like, it takes a lot for me to continue a series, so I might not even continue if I don't even like it, so I don't know why I did that, but I did. It is based around vampires living in New Orleans, but from what I've heard, don't be disappointed by the lack of vampires. It is more of a story that just involves vampires, so I'm like, okay, sure. I don't know what to expect. I just know that I've heard a lot of good things. It seems up my alley, and I would like to read it this month. However, I'm not going to squeeze it in. I would really like to enjoy this book slowly. I don't know why, I just get that vibe. So that is something I'm going to do, is read it slow, enjoy it if I have time. Now we're on to the buddy reads, and there's quite a few. And I'm sure there's going to be more added as well, or some that I've forgotten about here that I'm going to have to add. So that's fun. The first book I don't own yet, and it is Law by something Bracken. Me, Jade and Connor are reading this in February. Very excited about it. I don't know anything about it much other than it's been compared to The Hunger Games but for Greek mythology, and something about gods running around New York. That's kind of the extent of my knowledge, and it sounds pretty cool. I actually have not seen good reviews. I don't think I've seen one good review yet. I've only seen bad. It has just come out, so I'm a little bit nervous to read it, but I am excited to make my own judgment. I'm just waiting for my copy to turn up, and then we shall be reading it. But that is one that I'm excited for, but also am nervous about because of the negative reviews. Another book that I don't yet own, but I will be reading, is Across the Green Grass Fields, I think that's what it's called, by, oh my god, I forgot her name, by Shauna Maguire. This is the sixth book. Sixth book in the Every Heart a Doorway series. I'm reading this entire series with Jade, and so we're waiting for this book to come out. We're definitely going to buddy read it together. Very, very intrigued by it. It sounds really good. I seem to have been succumbed to miscommunication somewhere along the line, because I thought this was, is his name Kai? I thought it was, I think I'm wrong with the name Kai, but we're going to go with Kai. I thought it was their storyline in this book, and how they came to become part of the orphanage. But apparently it's not, and I'm very upset because they're my favourite character in this story and I really want a story based around them, so very hurt by that matter. However, it does still sound okay. I've seen mixed reviews again, like nothing bad, but like some 3 stars of just like it's not as good as the others. But I'm excited to make my own judgment on that when it is released. I think it's been released, but for some reason my pre-order has not turned up. So it says February. I await. But I'm excited to read that with Jade. And another book that I am reading with Jade is A Vow So Bold and Deadly by Bridget Kemmerer. We have been reading... You're going to see a lot of buddy reads with Jade, by the way. Me and Jade buddy read a lot. Jade is paperback to hardback, by the way. I probably should have specified. I talk about it all the time. I just assume everyone will know. They will not. But this is the 3rd book in the Cursebreaker series. So it starts with The Curse of Dark and Lonely. She was really kind and she pre-ordered me a copy of this so that we could read it on release date, but forgot to pre-order herself one in like forgetting that this wasn't one for her. And I feel terrible because mine showed up and I was like, where's yours? And she was like, I don't know. And then like 2 days later she was like, I forgot to pre-order it. And I'm like, oh my god. So she's now waiting for a copy and then we're going to read this, but that is going to be in February. This is going to be the final book, I believe. And so we will find out what happens in this world. And I'm intrigued because I really, really did not like the second book. So this is going to be like a hit or miss for me. And it'll help me decide whether this series is trash and I'm going to get rid of it, or if it's great and I'm happy with it. So I'm very much anticipating this one and nervous as well. We're about to mention another book with Jade, and that is The City of Brass. I don't know how I'm going to have any time to read anything except for read with Jade. This is going to be an interesting month. But we are reading this. This is by S.A. Chakraborty. And it is a fantasy revolving around magical traders or something. The markets of Cairo. Thieves, tricksters and con artists. Sounds very interesting. Once again, don't know anything about it. I just know that I really want to read it. I've heard so many good things. People rave about this series. Me and Jade have constantly been interested in why people have raved about this series, and I feel like it's time for us to discover the answer to our questions. And so we will be reading this in February and having a great time. We did discuss that maybe we should like FaceTime each other with this book so that we can discuss real-time thoughts, and I'm very excited to do that. And yes, the final buddy read I have to show you is with Jade, but it is also with Connor. It is another double buddy read, and that is The Library of the Unwritten. That is by A.J. Hackworth. This is one of Connor's favourite books, and neither me nor Jade have read it, but the second book, The Archive of the Forgotten, comes out in February, and so Connor wants to reread it before reading that book. I would like to read this before I decide whether or not to pre-order that book. Jade would like to do the same. So we are all reading this together because I want a heightened experience, and I believe this is about a library in hell where every book that's ever unfinished goes here, and there is someone who guards them, and then one escapes and they have to go on a journey to get this unfinished book back. Maybe book character from a book, I'm not sure. Very interesting plot, very confusing, and something that I heard a lot of people talk about the book and then it dropped and I never heard another word. So I don't know if people like this, I don't know if it's hyped, I don't know if people don't like it. I have no idea what people are thinking with this book, but knowing that Connor really loves it makes me happy and makes me excited to read it because he reads my favourite books, as you will have seen from his recent video. So very intrigued to read this, and that is the last book on my TBR. Now I have a lot of buddy reads that I wrote on paper and spread randomly around this room, and I cannot find them anywhere. So if I've forgotten that we have a buddy read this month, I know I have some next month and some onwards, but if I've forgotten our buddy read for this month, can you please let me know so that I can put it on my list? I'm really sorry that I've lost the random scraps of paper that I wrote everywhere, but I am a scatterbrain. Just let me know. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I'm planning on reading in February. I know I don't usually do TBR, so I'm not very good at filming them, but I thought for once that I have a TBR, I will give it to you. Let me know if you have any thoughts or opinions on this book, if there's anything that you really enjoyed, think something you really didn't enjoy, and what I should prioritise, seeing as this is more books than I can read. I mean, to be fair, I read more than this in January, but I don't think it's possible 2 months in a row. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye.